Hello, and welcome to this session on using the cloud operations model to improve operational efficiency. My name is Pratul Chakre. I'm the worldwide specialist for cloud management services here at AWS. And today I'm joined by Will Bengtson, Director of Threat Detection and Response, who's going to briefly talk about how he's put the cloud operations model to use at HashiCorp. Customers are migrating to AWS with one goal: to speed up innovation. But how do you measure innovation? It's measured in that organization's ability to deliver 3 times more features every year, as quoted by IDC, realized through a combination of infrastructure cost savings, efficient IT infrastructure management, and reduction in unplanned downtimes. As customers are migrating and building and modernizing their workloads in AWS, they're also operating these workloads at scale. These stats here reflect how more than 1 million active customers are running their operations in AWS using some of these services on a weekly basis. Amazon CloudWatch handles a mind-boggling 4 quadrillion metric observations a month. That's 15 zeros. AWS Config does about 2 billion configuration checks a month. 10 million Windows and Linux instances are being managed on a weekly basis using Systems Manager. And as for AWS CloudTrail, by the time the session ends, it's going to be busy processing close to 10 billion audit events, since it does 500 billion audit events on a daily basis. As customers are operating in the cloud and in AWS, they're also giving us feedback. How do we continue to use our existing tools and processes that our teams are proficient in? We need to be compliant with regulatory standards while keeping our costs down. Do we really need to sacrifice security for speed of innovation, or speed of innovation for security? And last but not the least, they're also asking us, how does Amazon do it? At Amazon, we've been operating successfully and at scale. So we took this feedback from our customers and we combined it with our experience, which really put us in a spot today to define the cloud operations model. Simply put, it's the cloud operations model helps you speed up innovation by delivering operational outcomes in the cloud and on premises effectively. Let's take a look at this statement in a little bit more detail. What do we mean by speeding up innovation? The cloud operation model promotes meeting customers where they are in their cloud journey. And it does so by providing both cloud and hybrid support for managing their operations. Customers who are migrating and are building in AWS are looking for cloud-native solutions to standardize their operations across environments seamlessly. It also helps complement and augment your team's skill sets by supporting traditional as well as modern operations processes. Large enterprises who usually manage their businesses in terms of application portfolios can use this model to enable end-to-end application management and operations. And of course, realizing these benefits in conjunction with achieving compliance in the cloud, both regulatory and operational, and maintaining and improving governance natively is another key aspect that this model delivers. So let's look at what is this cloud operations model. The cloud operations model identifies a series of outcomes that customers should strive to achieve and or enable for their environments, irrespective of any business function within an enterprise. The model promotes outcomes that customers can decide or individual or a combination of that are critical to drive success for their respective businesses. It is geared towards customers across varying degrees of their cloud adoption maturity. In order to continue to innovate at the pace of the cloud, the model promotes identifying current or establishing new baselines that will help you set up a cloud environment that is suited for your needs. In doing so, will help you identify the bottlenecks that currently hamper your accelerating your development and operational workflows, and provide cloud-native approaches that will help deliver seamless end customer experiences. As we go through these different elements of the model, you will find a series of questions that you are likely to ask yourself or are already asking yourselves to achieve the desired outcome. Enabling controls allows you to set up a cloud environment that is secure, scalable, compliant, and cost-effective. A cloud environment that is set up using organizational governance controls, catering to security and regulatory requirements, and has cost guardrails built in, allows your teams to build and innovate, migrate faster. Orchestrate brings your development and operations teams together to deliver that seamless end customer experience by enabling faster application deployment through consistent and repeatable patterns. The ability to verify resiliency and availability targets by identifying critical issues and security vulnerabilities in your environment allows you to regularly track key KPIs such as recovery time objective or RTO or mean time to resolution, MTTR, both of which are amongst a host of KPIs are important for maintaining uninterrupted that end user experience. Setting up processes to continuously observe, detect, and take action or respond to operational issues allows you to preempt and react to these issues faster. Monitoring and measuring application health and performance, detecting anomalous behaviors, and taking actions to remediate ensures you can have peace of mind as you continue to build and deliver those new end customer experiences to transform your business. Observe helps identify telemetry data for monitoring application and performance and SLAs and track them on an ongoing basis. This helps ensure that your application behavior is as expected to the user interaction. And this helps you to continuously strive towards improving your end customer experience. Being able to continuously look for opportunities to improve performance and control costs requires early detection and notification of any anomalous behavior that can impact your application and business performance. And lastly, when you're notified of an issue, you should be able to take action and respond quickly to resolve that issue and at scale, irrespective of whether the issue occurs in your cloud environment or your on-premises environment. So when we started this discussion today, we talked about the cloud operations model helping you speed up innovation through driving operational outcomes effectively. So what drives effectiveness of operations in this model? Automation. Automation allows you to manage applications and underlying resources at scale across cloud and on-premises through a single interface. Imagine a situation where an issue is detected, you are notified about it, and you are able to take action within the same view or dashboard that you're in an automated fashion, helps you reduce the time to resolution for that one issue. The cloud operations model also helps improve security and compliance. And in order to talk about it, I'm going to invite a very dear friend and the Director of Threat Detection and Response at HashiCorp, Will Bengtson.
Thanks, Pratul. Excited to be here today and excited to chat with everyone about the new cloud operations model, but most importantly, talk about how you can fit security into that model. So let's dive into the cloud security operations model using exactly what Pratul just went over, but let's frame it towards security. So as Pratul mentioned, we're going to first establish a baseline that involves enabling controls, orchestration, and verification. When we look at enabling controls, we're going to achieve consistency across all of AWS, ideally with a central control plane. And with AWS, it makes it very easy using the AWS organization's master payer account, or you can alternatively choose to use a different account if you'd like. The idea is that you have a central place to enforce things like tagging, service control policies, logging enablement, and most importantly, policy enforcement. Once you've come up with what you want to enforce across the broader environment of your cloud, it's important to be able to roll that out consistently across everywhere and do so from a central control plane. AWS makes this extremely easy using AWS Organizations, AWS Config, and AWS CloudTrail. It allows you to push out things centrally, enforce that things look a certain way, and then be able to, importantly, last audit that those things happened correctly. When you look at orchestration, it's important to be able to continuously deploy changes with a nice peace of mind. In order to do that, there's various different ways of doing it. We like, here at HashiCorp, infrastructure as code. It allows you to promote patterns across either the organization or business, or smaller across teams, and most importantly, allows you to continuously integrate and deliver those changes in a consistent manner. We like to use HashiCorp Terraform. Of course, there's other great things like CloudFormation as well, but being HashiCorp Terraform is great. And lastly, you want to be able to verify that the systems that you're running and the policies that you're pushing out are taking place. Just like when you're operating general systems in the cloud, you want to make sure that they're resilient and they stay up and they're operational full time. Same applies when we look at security. We want to make sure that our systems are operationally available at all times. When you think about logging, systems that do detection, and various different things, the AWS Fault Injection Simulator allows you to do that and establish the baseline on whether or not your services are going to be there when the most critical time comes around. After establishing that baseline, of course, we want to set up a continuous process to be able to observe, detect, and respond. When we look at observe, we're going to monitor the activities within AWS. Now, this is across your entire cloud environment, be it 2 AWS accounts or thousands of AWS accounts. You want to make sure that the things that you did when you established the baseline are continuously going to be there. And so you're going to look at resource policy enforcement, identity and access tracking, and ensure that logging is there and that you have the right logs. And this, of course, is going to change as you mature in your operations model and your, venture within the AWS cloud. Once again, AWS Config gives you a great view into what exists across all of your accounts, as well as the ability to create rules to do that policy enforcement that we talk about, as well as Amazon CloudWatch is a great way to get real-time information when things are changing in your environment, be it a new EC2 instance launching, a new S3 bucket being created, and it'll allow you to then move on to the next phase of detect and be able to detect when things are going outside of that policy or being attempted to move outside that policy, depending on your maturity and how you have things set up. So here within detect, we want to be able to look at real-time events or near real-time events, depending on your audit or log choice during the detection phase. You want to look at things like API calls, potentially look for resources being shared outside of your AWS environment. Now that you've actually identified and enforced and centrally configured that environment, look for things like a root login being attempted or being successful, and things like credential exfil. There's 2 great sources to do that. AWS CloudTrail is a great source that can do both management and some data events, and then Amazon CloudWatch. You want to know and pick and choose when you use which source. CloudTrail does have a time delay, so that's where we have that near real-time event. But then we have Amazon CloudWatch that allows you to deliver mutating CloudTrail events much, much faster for that real-time, potentially S3 bucket or sharing of an AMI outside of your account. It's important to be able to detect those things as quickly as possible so that you can revert them, hence the next section, respond accordingly and unshare those things from outside your environment. So with respond, we're going to take audible actions remotely. This won't happen overnight. There's some great resources that you can use available by default out of AWS. But when you think about respond, especially in the cloud, you want to think about automation. So remote automated response, remote forensics, remote configuration, or remote remediation. The AWS Systems Manager allows you to do things like this remotely across any account and any region into things like your EC2 instance. If you detect that there might be some malicious actor on your server, why not use SSM to go remotely probe that box, collect a memory dump, and do your remote forensics before your on-call actually wakes up in the middle of the night. Make sure that that information is readily available for them when they get to the computer screen. And with that, that's really a good quick look at the security operations model when thinking about the overall cloud operations model. Security teams traditionally aren't viewed as engineering teams, but yet we are. We're building things that are just critically as important as the services that companies are hosting out of AWS. And so it was with great pleasure to be here today to discuss briefly about how you can apply the cloud operations model towards cloud security. And with that, I'll hand that back to Pratul. Thanks again.
Thank you, Will. So to quickly recap, the cloud operations model that we've discussed is really designed to help customers realize the benefits that in turn help further speed up innovation in the cloud. And by improving governance and compliance posture, customers can be assured that their regulatory and security requirements are being met all the time in an automated fashion without having to slow down their development teams. Secondly, the cloud operations model identifies a series of outcomes that customers should strive to achieve for their environments, irrespective of any business function within an enterprise. Outcomes such as enabling control, orchestrating and verification, improving observability, and being able to detect and respond to incidents. This ability to continuously observe and take action to issues arising due to operational, budgetary, or regulatory requirements allows customers to preempt and react to these issues faster, minimizing application downtime. So how do we get started with the cloud operations model? We look at the cloud operations model across 4 distinct areas or business functions within an enterprise. These functions can individually or jointly adopt the model to help enable the outcomes as best suited for their business need. And here's a quick recap of these AWS services that help you achieve these outcomes. How can AWS help with the cloud operations model? We've got training and certification modules that you can subscribe to. We have AWS Managed Service, a managed service offering from AWS that puts the cloud operations model into practice. And if you wish to implement the model yourself, you can lean on AWS professional services or a large swath of partners who can help you in that endeavor. So what are some of the key takeaways from the session today? The cloud operations model supports the operational outcomes you wish to achieve in your cloud and on-premises environment. Getting started with functional areas will help you envision who needs to deliver what outcome based on this model. And then, of course, AWS can help through solutions built on native services that help implement this model. Getting started, dive deep, look for other sessions on this topic in the summit or any subsequent summit hereafter. Browse the blog where we not only provide our inputs about how customers can take steps to implement the model, but also invite our customers to contribute and talk about their experiences of having implemented this model. And then last but not the least, talk to your AWS account team and find out how AWS can help you. Definitely take a look at this slide, website, where we've got more details about which use cases do we focus on when we talk about the cloud operations model. With that, brings me to the end of this session today. Thank you, and please make sure to complete the session survey.